Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today. Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for joining this audio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about propaganda and propaganda movies, and we can call it narrative control, whatever you like. But the globalist government that we're all, is being forced upon us because it's without our consent. Whenever government is without consent, they have to use either terror to justify and cement their control of all the entire apparatus of administration of government and state, or they have to use complete narrative control. So they have to have complete control of everything you see and hear, and which is where they're moving. They're trying to go towards that. I don't know if you notice, all across the Western world simultaneously, all the governments are talking about disinformation laws and misinformation and malinformation, which is code speak for we want to control everything you see and hear. The globalists control us. We pretend to be your representatives, and we must control everything you see and hear. And ideological government must have that. It must have it. It's a non-negotiable issue for ideological governments. They must control everything you see and hear. It's the only way they can justify themselves and give themselves some sort of veneer of legitimacy. If you look at any totalitarian type government or ideological government, forget the totalitarian bit, any ideological government which is imposed on the people without their consent, the Soviet Union, the East European communist states, communist China, Cambodia, North Korea, all of that sort of stuff, they all have exactly the same playbook. Complete control of everything you see and hear, which is where we're going in the West now, because again, the globalist government is ideological government, and that's what's being imposed upon us without our consent or agreement. So I just want to talk about sort of my reaction, I guess, to propaganda. Now, pretty much any movie or TV show or documentary or anything you see today is infused with propaganda. In fact, you're hard pushed to find anything that isn't propaganda and doesn't have a propaganda message laced through it, whether it's the ridiculous woke feminist propaganda coming out of Disney or the Marvel movies in Hollywood, when Hollywood's one of the biggest culprits for this. Or really anywhere, any money that's available for any sort of what was once called entertainment is controlled by woke purse strings, and you effectively have to, if anybody wants to be able to do there's a guy I was talking to a little while ago, or some months ago now, who's doing a wildlife documentary, and he was even told, if you want the money, you have to infuse that with wokeness. Just for a fucking wildlife documentary. That's how insane it is. Anything and everything is used as this is a vehicle for propaganda. This is a vehicle for influencing people, and therefore we're going to use it for that. And there really isn't any money in entertainment or again, movies, TV programs, or so on. There isn't any money available in theatre productions unless you're agreeing to signing up for a propaganda. The production is simply a propaganda delivery system. That's all it is, and you have to agree to that, or you get no money. Or if you do have a production, they won't give you a theatre to go into, or they won't. No movie house will show it, and this sort of thing, or no distributor will handle it. So anyway, it's locked down pretty tight. And other than people like myself, or any YouTubers and that sort of thing that can do independent news, and movie makers like Dinesh D'Souza, who's recently brought one out about the police state. And if you haven't heard about it or seen it, I urge you to look it up online, Dinesh D'Souza, the police state, and have a look at it, because I think it's got some important points to make, or does make rather. Anyway, let's come back. Now, I guess the deception is one of the things that concerns me. We're not told it's a propaganda movie. For example, here's a British war movie, and I thought, okay, I'll have a look at this. And I belong to a few online things that, art house movies, that sort of stuff, and I have a quick look at what's coming out. So some of them aren't too bad, actually, but not many. Some of them stick to say it's based on a novel or based on fact. Some of them stick reasonably to the thing, but it doesn't take long. That they hit you up with the propaganda pretty quickly. Even though in the promotional stuff you wouldn't know it. If they said this is a propaganda movie that's going to push black lesbians or something, then I would know not to look at it, or it's going to push LGBTQ. So then I said, no, well, I'm not interested in that. But they don't. They pretend it's not about that, and then hit you with it, so that once they've got your eyeballs on the screen, then they deliver the propaganda, usually very heavy-handedly. But coming back to this British war movie now, it was a time when there would have been 0 black soldiers in the British Army. And particularly in this area or location, but instead they make out that not only were many, probably not a majority, but many of the soldiers black, that a lot of the officers were black, and the sergeants, who are, by the way, far and away the better sergeants, smarter and braver and stronger than those lily-livered, stupid, idiotic white people. Again, the propaganda is an opposite of what the reality would have been. And then the white British officers are just looked at as being utterly incompetent and stupid and moronic, not like the black sergeant, who is the fucking genius of the show. And again, complete opposite of any reality. Now, I did a little bit of checking. There wasn't a single non-commissioned officer in the British forces in this particular area at the time, so not one. So again, the fabrications and misrepresentations all put together and used simply again as we have to use this movie as a propaganda delivery system. So this idea that the black people were all over the army, that they're much better than the white people, much smarter than the white people. White people, not only stupid, but they're cowards, they're useless, not like those brave, strong and brave, genius black people. Again, the opposite of any reality. And various depictions. Now, this was, I don't know, not even 5 minutes into the movie, and so straight away the idiotic white people, black people very good, and they're on a training run, and the white people are all falling over everywhere and useless and hopeless. The black guys do all this sort of stuff with their eyes closed, and straight away we're into the propaganda here. I mean, this is crazy. And so I was hung on for another few minutes simply to see how bad the propaganda got. But once they got past, I think, the first 2 minutes maybe, they launched into the propaganda, and then it became more intense. Now, the lead actors were white and male, so that there's that. But the undertone was that white people stupid, cowards, useless, black people smart, good, brave, courageous, and so on. So, and you had, the black NCO dressing down the white guy, because the white guy just simply wasn't up to it. He's hopeless, whereas the black guy was the epitome of all that's good. And these sorts of things. I thought, no, this is propaganda. You're not entertaining me. You've stopped. You've ceased to be entertainment, and it's a heavy-handed piece of propaganda delivery. Now, I've noticed it's a cop show that somewhere out of Europe that I went to, that I had a look at, and the female cop is presented as this one hell of a tough chick who takes on these white sort of bad guys 10 times the size and kicks the crap out of them, and she doesn't even break a sweat. And I mean, what a tough chick. She doesn't take no crap from that white guy. And there's a black officer, and the two of them together, they're the ones solving the crime, all these idiotic. And the white people are presented as in the racist caricature of the most racist person the whole universe could ever imagine. And they're right there next to the good, honest, and true minorities, the woman. And it turns out the woman's a lesbian, which makes her even better still. I mean, moral superiority dripping out of it. And so but when you see the advertising blurb, if you will, for this show, it's only white people show. If you really look in the background, you can see what looks like could be a black person, but they don't put it. Now, if they put up front a lesbian and a black person right at the front of the advertising, straight away go, ooh, don't think. So they know that people won't watch it if they realise it's propaganda. So the makers are going, shit, people won't watch this if it's but we have to deliver. We must deliver the propaganda, and so we have to deceive people into watching the show, and hopefully once their eyeballs are attached, we can keep them for long enough to deliver some of this propaganda and this subliminal message that all white people are bad and all black people and lesbians are good, and this type of thing. Now, they could impress the hell out of me by presenting a reliable and accurate the reality of the world as it is, not some strange twisted nirvana that hysterical Marxist, socialist, globalist funded goons imagine that could be a fantasy world. They could impress the hell out of me and entertain me by presenting some sort of reality. Sure, there's a bit of fiction, and maybe the hero does sort of leap from the tall building. I get all that, but the ability to suspend disbelief is becoming more difficult. So, for me, I'm looking at it, well, that's crap. That's not even close to being any sort of accurate representation. Now, you say the same thing about James Bond, how he's got, millions of villains chasing him or baddies chasing him, and he karate chops them all and shoots them and does it without even getting a speck of dust on his suit or something. Okay, that's crazy. But that's not the same sort of thing. That's not an attempt. That's an attempt to deliver escapism, not propaganda. And there's a difference. Although some of the James Bond did become propaganda there. But this idea of movies and shows, again, documentaries and so on, if they were proud of their propaganda and they believed that they were saying something that the people wanted to hear or see, or they believed was true or accurate or whatever, then they would declare it to be so. They would say, hey, this is propaganda. This is our view. We believe it to be true. But instead, they hide it. They attempt to get you to watch using deception. And I can't see it's rare actually that you see the promotional blurb as being in any way representing what you're going to see. And sometimes you do. For example, there's a section in one of these online movie forums which is exclusively for gay lesbian movies. Oh, fine, okay, I don't care. Well done. And people who want to watch that material can do it. There's another one where it celebrates powerful feminine characters in history. And I've looked at some of those, and it's talk about a walk into Fantasia. I mean, it's insane, some of it, all the stuff actually that I've seen. Nonetheless, they're declaring what it is, and if you want that, you can go and watch it. But I've noticed also that they have those same movies, and they try and insert it in the general viewing, but conceal what it's actually all about. So again, they're attempting to insert propaganda into it. But my view is this: as soon as I see the propaganda now, I'm tuning in to be entertained. That's it. Or if, in the case of a documentary, to be informed and accurately and reliably informed. As soon as you deviate from that, I'm switching off. And I think if you look at the failures of the woke movies, the Ghostbusters woke movie, even though they put like Chris Hemsworth in the cast and that sort of thing, or say the recent Marvel movies, with the Brie Larson stuff and so on. If you look at the failure of those movies, then at the box office, and I've looked at some of them. Fuck, you've got to be kidding me! Talk about woke propaganda. Bullshit. Who wrote this fucking script? The idea of entertaining is doesn't even come. Not only does it come first or second, I mean, it barely comes third. The propaganda delivery is primary across the entire movie. And given the failure of this, I think a lot of people are switching off or refusing to pay the money, the $30, whatever it is, to take your family to watch the movie, the $100 or whatever. Well, she wouldn't be 30, definitely 100. And so why do they keep on doing it? Well, again, this comes back to the globalist program. Ideological government must and relies heavily on propaganda and complete narrative control, and that's why they keep on doing it, because that's as they say, they can't not do it. If you're imposing ideological government on the people without their consent, then you have to do this, because without it, other points of view would point out the absurdity and the ridiculousness of the globalist project. The mass migration and the destruction of social cohesion, the hysterical anti-white propaganda you see all around you these days. Then they'd struggle to impose that level of control which they need to cement ideological government into place. But I would urge everybody who, as soon as you see the propaganda, other than looking at it for the amazement of, oh fuck, I can't believe how bad this is, switch it off. I'm not listening. It's crap. I'm not listening to it. You can either entertain me or tell me that it's propaganda. Either way. If I want to be entertained, fine. But I refuse to look at propaganda and refuse to accept that I must look at it or I must be influenced by it. You've been a Tacitus today. You're a Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.